So hello, everybody. Welcome to the Speakers Collective live stream today on the important topic of menopause. And this is World Menopause Day, and I'm Hilda Kalap. And today I'm in conversation with Anna Allerton, who's my special guest. The World Menopause Day was started in 2009, and this year the topic is hormone replacement therapy. From personal experience, I can say that I am experiencing perimenopause at the moment, and it's affecting me quite a lot. I am experiencing chronic fatigue, brain fog. What else am I experiencing? Forgetfulness. Heightened emotions, lack of sleep. And I'm juggling all of this with bringing up two teenagers as a single parent and holding down full-time work. So it's really, really important to get the support that we need. And I'm not the only one out there. So I'm very, very pleased to be a member of the Speakers Collective, because this kind of conversation would not have happened even a few short years ago. This topic is shrouded in secrecy, and it's about time that it wasn't swept under the carpet any longer. And I'm wondering why menopause has been swept under the carpet for so long. It doesn't make any sense when so many millions of women are affected, go through this experience. Every woman will go through this experience, and there's millions and millions of women in the UK and billions around the world who are going through this experience. So I'm still wondering why this topic has been shrouded in secrecy. I can say that if I'd known more about the kind of symptoms that I would be experiencing, I wouldn't have been so worried that I was going to have a stroke or some other kind of health condition when I got tingling in my feet, for example, which is another menopause symptom. So we need to change this secrecy. And here, my guest today is Anna Allerton. And Anna is an executive coach. She's also a former journalist and an author. And she's also the founder of Work Smarter in Menopause. So welcome, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience and your reality. I think this is one of the really important things, isn't it? About just talking to each other about this with real trust and safety can really validate how other people are feeling too. So you've kicked us off in a really good fashion. So thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So Anna, your experience of menopause was perimenopause. And can you talk about what happened to you in your life at the age of 37?
Yeah, so 5 years ago, I was on maternity leave with my second daughter. And I just didn't feel right. There were lots of things going on with me that just weren't right. And it was 2019. I had a newborn, I had a toddler. And shortly after, 3 months after she was born, we went into lockdown. So, environmentally, there was a lot of stuff going on that delayed me really taking action on what was going on with me. And what was that? So, really relating to what you're saying around brain fog, really quite debilitating brain fog. My brain would not function in its usual fashion. Really quite debilitating anxiety. Insomnia, not the kind of waking up with a baby needing feeding however many times a night. Just sort of insomnia that then kicked in, and the inner critic started. I would have heart palpitations, muscle joint pain, headaches, just a complete loss of joy and confidence in myself. And actually that loss of confidence really started to become apparent when I returned to work. So before I set up my own business and work in this space, I was a journalist and a TV producer in the sports broadcasting world for 17 years. I loved my job, hence the longevity of that career. And I really liked, the storytelling. I liked being able to really disrupt the conversation in sports broadcasting about women's sport, which was a huge passion. And I was one of the early pioneers around women's sport in broadcasting back when it was totally uncool to be talking about it. So you can kind of imagine the sort of personality that I was to really show up and come alive in that environment. And it all went. I just didn't recognize myself. And 3 months into returning to work, I came home and I said to my husband, I just can't do this anymore. And there's something wrong. I need to go and see a neurologist. And I know when I say this, I will be speaking to a very sympathetic audience, but frankly, I thought I had some sort of early onset and that I was losing my mind. I couldn't recall names. I would see colleagues that I'd worked with for decades and couldn't remember what they were called. I would be in a live TV gallery trying to put up name graphics of very famous household names in the sport world, and I couldn't recall who they were. People would turn up to film segments in our studio, and I'd booked them the week before, and they would turn up and I didn't know who they were there for or what they were there for. So it became a really alarming time for me. The challenge that I faced, because by that point I was 38, and I had to sort of, through a lot of self-advocacy and raising my own awareness, I became quite clear that this was actually perimenopause. And when I approached the doctor, I was dismissed for being too young. I know I'm not alone in this. And I spent 12 appointments across 10 months trying to get treated and to get to the bottom of how I was feeling. It was very, very difficult raising a baby and a toddler with all of this going on, incredibly challenging. And I finally, after 10 months, got referred to a menopause expert, and within weeks, her treatment plan for me had transformed my life in such a positive way. So 5 years on, I am still managing my symptoms and different ones that crop up. I just have a stronger toolkit and an ability to be able to navigate this time. And how I reflect on it is, although it sounds really awful, and I was in that 25% bracket who experienced debilitating symptoms, I realised with a lot of clarity that I wasn't alone in that we weren't talking to women in their 30s about this. In fact, we weren't talking to younger women around how we celebrate our life cycle, that, you know, that the tone of voice around menopause was very, very negative, associated with aging, and we don't talk about that too loudly. And I thought, well, I'm 38, you know, this has ended my career. You know, my broadcast journalism degree career ended because I couldn't carry on carrying the weight of these symptoms whilst not being treated. So there was a lot of cost for me in this. And but I almost see it now as a gift, because I wouldn't be sat here with you. I wouldn't be in the Speakers Collective. I wouldn't be a menopause advocate and run a thriving business where I talk about this and actually start to shift the tone of voice and the language we're using around this as a time to thrive, a time of growth, rebirth almost, you know, really embracing that term, a second spring. So I'm going to stop there because I could talk about this for ages, and that's not what you need right now, but that gives you a flavour of where I'm at on my journey.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing with that, Anna, because must have been so alarming, as you say, and you were so brave to go through that. And sounds like you were quite isolated for 10 months of your life, trying to figure it out, because nobody, as you said, talks about it. And did you have to go privately to get the treatment that you wanted with the menopause specialist?
I did. And it's not good enough. Women shouldn't have to be forced to do that. The majority of women can't afford it, and it shouldn't be kept for access for the privileged few. And unfortunately, the menopause space still continues to be, you know, resources readily available for white middle class women. We need to open up about the ethnic disparity. We need to create space for all women, all communities to be heard in this space. You know, access to education. I'm really proud to work with the brilliant team at UCL who are working tirelessly on an education program called In Tune, which is to take to all communities across the country to really inform and educate women about what is going on with their bodies, their mind, their health, and using it as a tool to make sure that women are being heard and suitably treated. Because this isn't a one size fits all either. You know, for many of us that are going to listen to this live today, we can all, whether, you know, we're directly impacted or indirectly impacted, have a different experience of this. And that is okay. But in opening up the conversation, we start to break down stigma and stereotype and actually shift the narrative so that we're embracing this time of life and not fearing it.
Yeah, absolutely. When you know what's going to happen, and you've got support around you and other people are openly talking about it, then you don't feel like you're in the middle of having a heart attack or a stroke or whatever else it might be, or, you know, like you say, the early onset dementia and all the other things that it's not. I was going to say, I mean, my own experience is I really tried to go down the natural route of managing my symptoms. I went to a herbalist and I had herbal medicine, you know, plant medicine, and it was fantastic. I did that for about 3 or 4 months, and I was really starting to see a change with my symptoms and just starting to thrive. And then she moved house and it was just too far away for me to go. And also you have to pay for these treatments. So each time it was 50 to 60 pounds, you know, which not everybody can afford. And I was starting to think, well, why isn't this available for free or subsidized? You know, why can we get HRT patches on the NHS, but we can't get herbal medicine on the NHS or subsidized? Then I tried a nutritionist who was again amazing, and again it was about sort of 60 pounds for each consultation. I had consultations online. She gave me a whole load of information about protein and how to and you know, how to manage breathlessness and other symptoms. It was incredible. Really opened up my mind to eating more nuts and seeds and things I wouldn't have contemplated. And then finally I had 12 sessions of reflexology, which were at a discounted rate, and that really helped me with, in fact, I overcame my anxiety to manage to get on a plane to India and speak in front of thousands of people at an ashram as a result of the reflexology. But again, then she raised her prices because this was a kind of promotional offer. And I just, you know, again, so then I went onto HRT, which has been transformational. But again, I would love to see the same kind of accessibility available for complementary therapies for all women if they so choose. So what can we do about this, Anna? What, you know, you mentioned the UCL program, which is available already.
No, so it's not. Just a little word, Hilda, we can hear you brilliantly, but I think we may have lost your video. So while I answer that, I'll let you have a little play around and see if we can get you back.
Okay.
But what can we do? Look, the education programme is in its early stages. It's going to be rolled out. I think if anyone is particularly interested, to follow Professor Joyce Harper on LinkedIn and on Instagram, who can keep us bang up to date with their progress. But it's coming, and it's involved a lot of experts inputting and sharing. And I certainly enjoyed inputting about the intergenerational aspects, because I think, you know, a lot of stereotype and stigma around this is that, oh, it's about women in their 50s getting hot and angry. No, far from it. You know, this impacts women across decades of their life, and we need to really open that. So what else can we do? I think, you know, it's particularly from my area of expertise, it's around in the workplace. I just want to share some data just to really embed some more awareness and knowledge around this space. So, you know, in the workplace, for me, it's around opening the conversation, just start the conversation, and also be progressive and restless and hold accountability on trying to take action forward to better support people. Now, one of the questions I get, and I've had this so many times already this month, which I love, and it's very, very obvious, is, oh, but Anna, why do we need to talk about this? You know, is this something that's appropriate to talk about in the workplace? This is a natural process, and women have gone through this for generations. Yes, absolutely right. But the difference to now, why we need to talk about this, is that women of menopausal age, so women over 50, are the largest growing demographic of the UK workforce. If we ignore them and their need and their brilliance, frankly, business and the economy and our society and communities will suffer for it. So it's very much a case of, I guess, the challenge that we could present today to anyone listening and beyond is to start looking at how you start the conversation. It's so important to break down stigma and stereotype. The majority of organisations are not talking about this and are not offering support. And the result of that is that 1 in 10 women will leave the workplace. And we just can't afford that to happen. women are being impacted by imposter syndrome, brain fog at work, in meetings, and failing to recall names or facts or data in a certain moment. That loss of confidence, their changing body, and not sleeping, and the irritability, and a lot of those symptoms really start to stretch the boundaries for women in the workplace. But if we can start communicating with each other about it, we can build support networks around us so that that woman can thrive in that job. She's still brilliant at what she does. It's just that she might need you to just be a wing person for a minute to say, that's the name of that person, or this is the name of that organization I'm failing to recall. And it's about collaboration and working together to be really productive and create space to help women thrive at that time. And it's all about, my theory is that we can work smarter. It's about looking at what's happening in our symptoms log, what's our cycle mapping telling us, and at what point can we use that data to be better informed around what works for us. It's a great opportunity also for professional women to just sort of deepen their own self-awareness. I'm sure you can relate when I say that, at this point in our lives, we have children, we have caring responsibilities, we have our jobs, we have domestic responsibilities, we have community, volunteering, hobbies, activities. There is a lot going on in our lives. And, it's really a case of sort of saying, we've put our own needs down the pecking order a bit. And this is my invitation to say, come on, let's push ourselves back up. Self-care, our well-being, seeking support from a GP to get, treatment and diagnosis, prioritizing, as you say, nutrition, prioritizing our well-being, our exercise, our boundaries, actually saying, look, these are my non-negotiables now, because that is what I need to serve my needs effectively. It's not selfish, it's not self-indulgent. It's about giving women the power to actually take really productive steps forward for them. And I think that comes from a societal shift around this conversation. And, there's lots of celebrities, famous people, they talk about it. People have been talking about this for years, and it hasn't slipped off the agenda, and it's not going to. So let's go with it and see how we can benefit our societies by actually talking and embracing this time in life.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's a big job to do, isn't it? But I mean, if you can get some industry leaders on board, then it can happen fairly fast.
Yeah, and I think they just need to understand the why. And once you give the space to have that freedom of conversation, this is what I do. I go into organizations and I help them open the conversation. We sit in trust and safety. It's very inclusive. And it's fine to ask these questions. Particularly a lot of male leaders there's discomfort for them around, am I intruding in this conversation? Is it appropriate for me to be part of it? And I often say that vulnerable leadership is just the best way forward here. We can't all be masters of everything, but we can listen, we can actively listen, and we can open our minds and our workplaces to these conversations. And I am so confident that if we do, we'll retain talent and we will get so much amazing wisdom out of women because of it.
I mean, yes, this is an opportunity for women to stand up and talk about your needs, just be open and don't worry. And I know it's easy to say because there might be, a culture where it's that leadership is mostly male and you're maybe afraid of stating your needs, but go forward and say that you're a valuable member of the team. You're a senior member of the team. You're very experienced. Just have a conversation about what your needs are and open up the conversation. Be that leader, be the role model to trailblaze for other women. It's that opportunity to change the culture, change the situation. And finally, well, very, very interesting that the doorbell's now gone. Right. My last question to you, Anna, is I'm going to ask you about your new book, which is coming out next month, and that's called The Myths of Menopause. Can you tell us a bit about this amazing book that's due out soon?
Yes, so it's edited by a brilliant doctor, Dr. Nikki Kay, who has, so I'm really a co-author. It's not my book, it's a collective, but really led by Nikki. And I think there's over 20 experts and global thought leaders feeding in all their areas of wisdom. And I think, for quite a long time, many of us have identified that there is a lot of myths about menopause and misinformation, I suppose. And what this book does is it keeps all the experts in their particular lane sharing their information. So, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a PT, but I've spent decades in the corporate world. I've championed for women in sport, I've championed for women in leadership in my roles. And so I know a thing or two about the corporate world and a woman's place in it and the value that they add. So that's really my area of expertise that I've brought into the book. And I've written a chapter about how we can work smarter and how a lot of it is embedded in mindset and us taking on the challenge, but also setting actions and strategy for ourselves. And that's really what I do with my clients one-to-one in the trust and safety of the coaching practice that I run, to really help them map that out and to serve as a professional thinking partner for them. And it's all around, resilience, self-awareness. If your reality is not giving you comfort right now, what do we need to do to remove some blockages so that you can start progressing and that you can move from A to B? So the chapter really looks at that. So the book is Myths of Menopause, edited by Dr. Nikki Kay. It's one of those delightful books where you don't need to buy lots of different books on different subjects. It's got everything all in one that you can keep going back to over many years of your life. And it is being published next month, November the 25th. And I think it's available for pre-order. I could put it on the chat now.
Yes, please, Anna, that would be great.
A discount code. So let's get a discount code, and I'll pop it on there for you as well.
So we've got The Myths of Menopause out on November the 25th, co-authored by Dr. Nikki Kay, Anna, and another 20 experts, all writing about their specialism, which is going to be vital information for anyone who wants to know more about this topic. And we're going to just have a discount code coming up very soon, hopefully.
Going on the chat to you just now, there's a link coming through and the discount code is coming through too, so just look out for that in chat.
That's fantastic. That's great. And
can I ask you a question, Hilda?
Yes, sure, go ahead.
Your area of expertise, I know, is all around burnout and your well-being work also. I just wonder, I guess I'm intrigued because at the extreme end of the spectrum where I work, women are leaving the workplace. As I said, 1 in 10 are. 1 in 4 are reducing their hours. And so many will say to me, I'm at breaking point. I'm not getting treated. This is a really isolating thing to explore at work. It's impacting my ability to work well. And so, you can see all the red flags for burnout. I'm wondering what wisdom you can share with anyone listening to identify this and perhaps look at ways of preventing it getting to that point.
Yeah, so to prevent getting to that point is really crucial. So if you're starting to feel yourself getting overwhelmed, feeling teary, feeling down and depressed, as if you've lost the joy for your life, not really wanting to connect with your friends or family anymore, and your sleep suffering, then that is the point where you're going down the burnout route. And I would stop immediately and really think, no job is worth this. Nothing is worth sacrificing your health for, and take a step back and really focus on your self-care and really schedule into your time as you would schedule in work, schedule into your time things that you enjoy doing. So slow down, schedule in what brings you joy. It could be anything, everyone's different, whether it's meditation or yoga or dancing or starting an instrument, spending time in nature, any of those things. Just even having a bath every night is very relaxing and lovely. And really think about also whether you're aligned to your passion, because it could be that you've just been on automatic for many, many years and you're doing something that hasn't really satisfied you and you're not happy doing, but you've just stuck it out because of paying the mortgage, or because of you haven't really, you've been caring for others and you haven't really focused on yourself. So really think, now it's time for me. Does what I'm doing align with my passion? If I was to pass tomorrow, is what would I spend my time doing? What would be the thing I do first and foremost? And then that is your purpose, really. That is your passion. And then find ways to take small steps, perhaps at a time, towards your passion, because you deserve to do that. Your life is as valuable as anybody else's. Your time at this point in life is very, very special. You cannot get your time back. You can always make more money, but you can never get your time back. So just that I found when I burnt out, I was completely disaligned with my purpose in life and what I was actually doing. And so I always felt tired. I never had my cup full. So they would be the pieces of advice I'd give women at this stage of their lives.
Yeah, there's just so much in that answer. It's just fantastic. It's, a lot of the stuff that I look at is quite aligned around, reconnecting with your strengths, because so many women just forget actually what they're so brilliant at, and your values. And, this is what we talk about, non-negotiables. And, I really relate to your talking about nature. Like that's the top of my non-negotiable. I have to go out in nature every day, or I really, really see the impact of not doing it, and it's negative. So it is all about reconnection with joy, and allowing ourselves that permission and the time and space to really explore some of that and take steps. And then I guess that the piece of the coaching world that we're both in is, how are you going to do it, and how will you hold accountability to yourself to do those things? So there's so much in that that's just really valuable on a day like Menopause Awareness Day to share.
Thank you so much, Anna, for being my guest today. It's been a joy to speak with you. And if anyone wants to carry on the conversation about menopause or any other topic that we talk about, which is a whole load of things to do with health and coaching and subjects that are often not talked about. I talk about mental health and burnout, and Anna, as you know, is an expert on menopause. Please get in touch with us at the Wonderful Speakers Collective, and that's speakerscollective.org, and you'll find out more about how to book our time to speak at your organization. So thank you very much again, Anna, and
pleasure. Thanks, Hilda.
Yeah, it's been great, and let's stay in touch.
Will do. See you soon. Thanks a lot.